therapist Kristen Jacobson.
Hey everyone, I'm Kristen, the anxiety therapist. Thanks for checking out my video this week. Today I want to talk a little bit about the vagus nerve, polyvagal theory, and bottom-up versus top-down processing. I know that was a lot of psychological jargon. I promise to break it down and make it pretty basic and simplistic so that it makes sense to you. So the vagus nerve runs from the base of our brains basically all throughout our body. And it's sort of like this communication superhighway between our brains and our body. This highway helps us navigate social interactions, emotional responses, and even our fight or flight reactions, which is what gets activated with anxiety, anger, or other sort of big emotions. So it's a pretty big deal when it comes to mental health. Now, when we're talking about top-down versus bottom-up processing, we're talking about the mind meeting the body. So with top-down processing, this is where our mind takes the lead. This is going to consist of our thoughts, our beliefs, anything cognitive that's going on, influencing our body's reactions. So for example, let's say you're thinking about a happy memory, you might start to smile, your heart rate might slow a little bit, so your mind kind of directs your body. Now, bottom-up processing is the exact opposite. So this is when our body's signals kind of go up and influence our mind. This is where the vagus nerve really plays a significant role, because if our body detects a threat or feels safe, it sends signals to our brain, and this in turn affects our thoughts and emotions. So the vagus nerve, again, serves as this sort of superhighway between these two processes and ensures this seamless communication between our mind and body. So it's sort of like this constant phone call between our brains and our organs. And so in the top-down scenario, our brain can tell our vagus nerve, like, hey, relax, everything's good. The vagus nerve then relays that message to our heart, our lungs, our gut, and it sort of promotes this state of calm. Conversely, if our body senses danger in a bottom-up situation, then the vagus nerve can send a signal to our brain that, like, hey, we need to gear up for action, get that fight or flight response going, and then our mind is sort of flooded with thoughts of danger and fear. So it's this delicate balancing act. And when it comes to anxiety or any other strong emotions, it's really important that we're addressing both the mind and the body in order to get a handle on that. So that brings me into something called polyvagal theory. And basically, this theory explains that there are 3 states that your autonomic nervous system can be in. The first is the social engagement state. So this is when you're feeling calm and connected. So we can interact with others. Our vagus nerve is all about making friends, being open to social interactions, being in the present moment. We're just sort of in that harmonious, peaceful place. Then we have the fight or flight state. So this is going to be our body's alarm system, right? If our brain senses danger, your vagus nerve is going to rev up your body for action, or vice versa. We might have heart racing, muscles ready, prepared to fight or flee. We're going to be experiencing anxiety or anger, and we're going to kind of go into high alert mode. And then when that overwhelm and stress surpasses our limit, our body then goes into the shutdown state or shutdown mode. And this is when our vagus nerve slows things down, and it really makes us feel detached or numb or depressed. So we really want to be aware of kind of how our body sensations are affecting our brains, and then how our brains or our mind is affecting our body sensations. And so this is something that is really helpful to work with a therapist on, because you can do some polyvagal mapping and sort of detect which state your nervous system tends to hang out in the most. And for a lot of the clients I work with, it's that fight or flight state. We're revved up with anxiety, then our body is constantly prepared to spring into action to protect ourselves. And that's a very exhausting state to live in. And we tend to kind of go between the states. So it's not like we're consistently in one state, but ultimately in an ideal world, we would spend most of our time sort of in that social engagement state when we're able to be present focused and engaged with others, feel connected to ourselves and other people. And so I would encourage you, if you found this video interesting, just look in further to what polyvagal theory is and the vagus nerve, because you can find some really interesting stuff out there. I did another video on vagus nerve icing, which helps if we are feeling really anxious, it can help to calm down that vagus nerve. So check that out if that's something that you're interested in. So I hope this was helpful. Head on over to my website, catharticspacecounseling.com, for some other free resources, and I will talk to you next week.